Morning, folks. Everything new under the sun. Well, this is an interesting one. And when we're looking at Bible prophecy and the lack of the United States in anti-Bible prophecy as it relates to Gog Magog, we start looking at how could the U.S. be taken out. And I've covered several scenarios. And one of them is simply by a preemptive strike by China or Russia. And this particular one, this is from Zero Hedge. Stratcom General warns U.S. is powerless against China's hypersonic missile attacks. China's and Russia's specifically. Now, I've covered the hypersonic missiles before, and that Russia has kind of trotted these out and bragged about these. And of course, we've all speculated that the U.S. has adequate defenses against this, some way to manage it. No doubt Israel has some way to manage this. However, this general is suggesting that indeed the U.S. does not, and a preemptive strike could be used, a nuclear preemptive strike could be used to really take the U.S. out of world power status very quickly. And that's what Bible prophecy seems to indicate to us. Well, the United States is extremely vulnerable to future attack by hypersonic missiles and is falling behind in the technological know-how to defend the homeland from the threat, the commander of the United States Strategic Command told the Senate Armed Services Tuesday. This week, apparently. The first and foremost message I want to deliver is that the forces under my command are fully ready to deter our adversaries and respond decisively should deterrence ever fail. We are ready for all threats. No one should doubt this. And let me see here. So this article, just to be sure, this article is from March 21st, so yesterday. So speaking of Tuesday being this week here. It says, however, in a follow-on conversation with Senator Jim Inhofe from Oklahoma, says, we, the U.S., don't have any defenses that could deny the employment of such a weapon, hypersonic missile, against us. What Hygen suggests, as of today, the U.S. is powerless against hypersonic weapon threats and has to rely on deterrence against these so-called hypersonic weapons. So the MAD protocol, mutually assured destruction protocol, this is what they're relying on at this point because they apparently, according to this general, don't have a defense against it. Well, Hyten added, so our response would be our deterrent force, which would be the triad and the nuclear capabilities that we have to respond to such a threat. So again, mutually assured destruction. But does Russia care? Does China care? They have such large land masses that they are spread out enough that they could probably survive being communist dictatorships. They could survive a mutually assured destruction sort of event and come out of it with some military left going, whereas the U.S., a couple of strategically placed nuclear weapons would pretty much take them out. A hypersonic threat is a system that starts out ballistic, so you will see it like a ballistic missile, then it depresses the trajectory and flies more like a cruise missile or airplane. If it goes up into the low reaches of space and then turns immediately back down and then levels out and flies at a very high level of speed, that's a hypersonic weapon. Well, earlier this month, Russia, obviously, of course, test-fired a high-precision Kinzhal Dagger hypersonic missile from a MiG-31 supersonic interceptor jet in a South Military District in Russia's southwest. And so there's the reference to a video here. In late 2017, China conducted several tests of a hypersonic glide vehicle that could be used to defeat U.S. missile defense systems. So you have China and Russia both actively working to overwhelm and get past U.S. defenses. CNBC points out it's clear that the U.S. lacks the means to combat hypersonics, nevertheless has poorly allocated funds to develop the technologies over years, thus enabling Russia and China to advance hypersonics to a higher degree. And of course, in Bible prophecy, who do we see as the nation still standing at the end of all these things? We see China, kings from the east. We see kings from the north standing and going to battle against Israel. These are the countries that you see standing. The countries that you don't see standing is largely the West. United States, for example, the world superpower right now, militarily, you don't see them standing. It goes on with the quote here. I strongly agree with the need for a low-yield nuclear weapon, he said of the Pentagon's request for a low-yield warhead for submarine-launched ballistic missiles. That capability is a deterrence weapon. All it does is deter, so mutually assured destruction, to respond to the threat that Russia, and in particular, is portraying. Putin announced as far back as April 2000 that the Russian doctrine will be to use a low-yield nuclear weapon on the battlefield. And what did they just threaten to do? Any attack on their neighbors, conventional or nuclear, on their allies, will result in the use of the nuclear arsenal from Russia. So Russia is ready to use nuclear weapons. They have calculated the risk, and I think a very plausible possibility is that they will take out the United States prior to Gog Magog, and Gog Magog is shaping up right now. So this is a pretty significant article as it relates to the setup of the Gog Magog battle, the timing of that. So we'll see how that turns out. I'm going to stop there. I'll put the link in the description, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.